Hello and happy Thursday, everybody. I'm back sharing another one of my super easy and delicious recipes. This is one that I definitely have in my monthly meal rotation, and it makes a really great big batch. So there's always lots for leftovers, or if you have a family. Today we're talking meatloaf and joint friendly meatloaf. So before I get started, though, for those of you who aren't familiar with who I am, my name is Jessica Melnick. I am a registered holistic nutritionist, the founder of the Anti Arthritis Method, the host of the Happy Joints Arthritis Solutions Facebook group, and I help both women and men with various forms of arthritis get back to living the way they choose to, not the way that they have to. And one of the main ways I teach people to do that is by eating to support their body and to support their joint health. And that's why every Thursday, except for next week, I will be away on vacation. I am sharing some of my favorite recipes with you so that you can see that learning how to eat in a way that's going to support your health and joints and keep inflammation down in your body is actually really quite simple. Just like anything, it takes a little bit of work and adjusting at first, but then it just gets so much easier. So I will be sharing a link for my meatloaf recipe along with the YouTube link once this is uploaded to my YouTube channel. And then I'll also be posting the link to this recipe below this post in Facebook as well. So you can just click on that and you'll be right there. So what I'm going to do though is I'm going to talk about some of the main ingredients that are found in this recipe and why they are good for you and why you want to eat them. So I use grass-fed and grass-finished ground beef for this recipe. You could also add some pasture-raised ground pork in there if you are wanting it to be a little, maybe a little juicier, have a little more fat content, because grass-fed beef does tend to be quite a bit leaner than conventionally raised. And that's definitely not a bad thing. And the fat in grass fed beef is much, much better for us than conventionally raised beef. And that is because it has a high level of omega-3 fatty acids, which are very anti inflammatory. And we typically get way too many omega-6 fatty acids in our diet, which causes inflammation. So that's why we want to avoid seed oils in general, things like canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, those types of things you really want to avoid. Very high in omega 6 and a lot of packaged foods as well, really high in omega 6 fatty acids. And when we have way too many omega 6 fatty acids to the ratio of omega 3 fatty acids that we're eating, it causes inflammation in the body. So, grass fed, grass finished beef is a really great way to get a great source of anti inflammatory omega 3 fatty acids in your diet. And if you are wanting to add some pork in with this mixture, I would recommend pasture raised pork because those animals have a much better life than conventionally raised pork. They are way less likely to get sick and need antibiotics. They're not going to be fed extra growth hormones. They're going to be eating what they're meant to eat. Not what the conventional food raisers are going to be feeding them, which actually can cause inflammation when we eat that meat. So, for example, meat that is fed corn, if you are actually sensitive to corn and you're eating meat that eats corn, that meat could actually be irritating and inflammatory to you as well. So, this is something to be aware of, as you want to be really cognizant when you are choosing your meat choices. Now, for leaner cuts of meat, you can be a little less careful if you are needing to be budget conscious, like many of us. So, things like chicken breasts, they're very lean meat. Pork tenderloin, which is very lean meat. If you are, needing to be careful with your budget, those types of meat, the leaner cuts that are conventionally raised, are safer than the fattier cuts of meat because fat is where animals, and just like ourselves, we hold our toxins. And so, there's my kitty. If you are wanting to have safer sources of animal proteins, I would stick to the grass fed, pasture raised, free range options for the fattier cuts. And if you want to save some money, use the leaner cuts of conventionally raised meats. So let's talk a little bit about all the hidden veggies that are in this meatloaf. And this meatloaf does contain 2 pounds of ground meat. So it does make a big one. Like I said, you're going to have leftovers, which is super handy. And it also does have some really great sources of veggies in there too that it's a really kid-friendly way to get the veggies in there because it's really hidden. They won't even know it's there, and they're going to get some healthy source of fiber and micronutrients as well. So let's talk about cauliflower. So we're going to use some riced cauliflower in this meatloaf. And when you see the recipe, you can also vary the different types of grated veggies you want to include in the meatloaf. You don't have to have the exact same ones. You can use what you have on hand. So cauliflower is considered one of the healthiest foods in the world, and it has a ton of health promoting phytonutrients. It has high levels of anti-inflammatory compounds. Studies have shown that it can ward off cancer, heart disease, brain disease, and even weight gain. And it's just, yes, it's very popular for good reason. We used to think that you had to be a brightly colored vegetable in order to have a lot of nutrition. Not so. And it is part of the cruciferous family of vegetables. So it is cousins to broccoli, cabbage, kale, Brussels sprouts. And those are kind of the main cruciferous vegetables. And I can never get enough of cruciferous vegetables. I eat them every day. I would recommend everybody get some cruciferous vegetables in them every day because they are so health promoting. So let's look at some of the benefits of eating cruciferous vegetables and cauliflower in particular. So, like I said, they're an excellent source of phytonutrients and natural antioxidants. And some brassica crops like cauliflower, so we're talking about the cruciferous veggies, they're now highly correlated with preventing chronic diseases, including cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, neurodegenerative disorders, and various forms of cancer. So, really, really amazing. Nutrition really is the best medicine. Now, let's look at carrots because this meatloaf also has grated carrots in it if you choose to put them in there. And they also have a lot of antioxidants in the form of what are called carotenoids. And one of those carotenoids is beta carotene, which I'm sure many of you have heard of, which is a precursor to vitamin A that is responsible for many of the benefits that come from carrots that we know of today. So studies have shown that beta carotene is crucial for improving our immunity, which is really, really important, especially if you're somebody that is struggling with an autoimmune condition or an autoimmune form of arthritis. It can protect our skin and our eyes, which I know I grew up always believing like carrots are good for your eyes. That's what we were always told. It is true. And they also can fight off free radical damage that can cause various forms of chronic diseases such as cancer and heart disease. So, of course, another great nutritional powerhouse in carrots. And this also contains some grated zucchini. And like I said, you can add more cauliflower to this if you don't have zucchini on hand, or like it's very versatile in terms of veggies you use. But zucchini acts as a really great moisturizer, carries a lot of water, and it also helps bind the meatloaf together because we aren't using eggs in this meatloaf. It is optional. You could use an egg or two if you really wanted to, if you're not sensitive to them. But I know many of us, including myself, are really sensitive to eggs. And if you are in the elimination phase of my nutrition protocol, you won't be eating eggs, at least not initially. So I would leave them out, and zucchini is a great binder. Now, this also contains onions, and onions are also a nutritional powerhouse. So studies suggest that onion health benefits are things like immunity, cancer protection, and this is because of their many antioxidants. So these include flavonoids like quercetin and anthocyanins, so which is the same protective compounds found in berries, cherries, and eggplant, plus organosulfides and nutrients like vitamin C. So very anti-cancer. Quercetin is also a really popular supplement I'm sure many of you have heard of because of its flavonoids and phytonutrients. Garlic is another nutritional powerhouse and it makes things taste delicious, just like onions do. And eating garlic regularly is not only good for us, but it's also been linked with reducing or even helping prevent four of the major causes of death worldwide, including heart disease, stroke, cancer, and infections. So again, a wonderful thing to have if you can tolerate it. I know some people have trouble with onions and or garlic depending on what's happening in their gut. And so you can adjust according to your needs. And we're going to also talk about parsley. Now, I used to think parsley was just a garnish that they put on your plate in restaurants and it was just kind of like a weed, you didn't eat it. And now I've learned, oh my goodness, parsley is absolutely amazing. It is packed full of antioxidants and it is actually considered a superfood because it is so, so nutritious. And it benefits our body in so many ways. And it actually can be considered a naturally effective treatment for a wide range of symptoms and diseases. So it's actually considered a herb, and it has long been considered an all natural free radical scavenger. It protects the heart, our brain. It's an anti diabetic, antibacterial, and it helps with digestion. So it helps regulate our bowel movements and decrease bloating. And although more formal research is needed, there's some evidence that parsley uses and benefits may include helping fight the following symptoms. So let me read this off to you guys. This is incredible. Inflammation. So if you're dealing with joint pain, this is huge. Oxidative stress and free radical damage. Anemia, bladder infections, digestive problems, including IBS, kidney stones, bad breath, arthritis, bloating, edema, gas, acid reflux, constipation, poor immunity, skin problems, and certain types of cancer. So, nutritional powerhouse. It is quite mild tasting as well. And it also really adds such a nice green pop of color to the food. I always find things look so much fancier when they have some green herbs mixed into the food. It just looks so much more appealing and attractive. Yes, so many things that you can do with parsley. And this is one of those things that's just mixed right into the meatloaf. So you can go ahead and enjoy that. And like I said, chances are your kids won't even know it's in there and they're getting so much nutrition and they're enjoying it. Now, one of my favorite parts of this recipe is the bacon on top. Now, I don't know too many people who don't like bacon unless you do not eat pork for various reasons. But I just wanted to point out that when I am using bacon in a recipe, I do recommend that you get a really good quality source. I treat bacon more as a condiment, more as a flavor enhancer, instead of like the main course. Of course, if that's something you want to do once in a while, by all means. But I would recommend that you get a pasture raised bacon source, preferably naturally cured or uncured, nitrite free, sugar free. Sugar because it can increase your insulin levels and cause inflammation. And also, nitrates are related to cancers. So we want to avoid those as much as possible. And that happens as part of like the curing process. So I would look for a really good source. Again, like I mentioned at the beginning of this talk, pasture raised is really, really important because the animals are getting what they need to eat. They are not getting a bunch of hormones and antibiotics and other things. And I just feel better about eating an animal that's had a better life. So I use this quite sparingly, but man, does it ever make this meatloaf taste amazing. And when you get a pasture raised bacon, a good quality bacon, you don't have to worry about toxins in the fat. You can enjoy all the juicy goodness of the fat from that meat and not worry about it being inflammatory. It's just going to add so much flavor and moisture to that meatloaf. And it's just, I think it's like the icing on the top. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. I'm going to post it underneath this post in the group so you can just click on it and gain access to it easily there. It'll also be uploaded to my YouTube channel, which will contain the link as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be away next week on vacation, back the following week. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone.